There's a lot of talk nowadays about positive thinking and positive affirmations, and those definitely have their place. But there's lots of different strategies for lots of different kinds of personalities, and in some cases, a technique called defensive pessimism can be very helpful. It's not just focusing on the bad, it's focusing on some other stuff, some negative outcomes and some negative expectations. The brain tends to go there anyways, and so why not build a strategy if the brain's going to go there until you can learn to pull things around and think more positively. It's also kind of a backdoor technique when the other ones might fail. The more techniques you have in your pocket, the more techniques you have to draw from in the different situations, and the better you'll be able to deal with certain situations and reaching your goals. Defensive pessimism is a cognitive strategy identified by Nancy Cantor and her students in the mid-80s. Individuals use defensive pessimism as a strategy to prepare for anxiety-provoking events or performances like speaking in public. When implementing defensive pessimism, individuals set low expectations for their performance regardless of how well they've done in the past. Defensive pessimists then think through specific negative events and setbacks that could adversely influence their goal pursuits. By envisioning possible negative outcomes, defensive pessimists can take action to avoid or prepare for them. Using this strategy, defensive pessimists can advantageously harness anxiety that might otherwise harm their performance. Defensive pessimism is utilized in a variety of domains. Public speaking provides a good example of the process involved in this strategy. Defensive pessimists could alleviate their anxiety over public speaking by imagining possible obstacles, such as forgetting the speech, being thirsty, or staining their shirts before the event. Because defensive pessimists have thought of these problems ahead of time, they can appropriately prepare to face the challenges ahead. The speaker could, for instance, create note cards with cues about the speech, place a cup of water on the podium to alleviate thirst, and bring a bleach pen to remove shirt stains. These preventative actions both reduce anxiety and promote superior performance. So in the case of emotional eating or proper nutritional habits, defensive pessimists would put together a strategy to get them out of a worst case scenario or just a tough situation. So now that you know what defensive pessimism is, here's the strategy to implement this and see if it works to help you achieve your goals. There's really 7 questions you can ask yourself, and some of the questions you might not know the answer to right away, but if you let them churn in your subconscious, it'll answer them for you. First question is, what's your goal? Obviously, we all want to get somewhere. We all have goals with fitness, with nutrition, with fat loss, with strength gain, whatever that might be. So it's to be specific about what your goal is. Question number 2 is, what will be the most positive outcome of that goal? So visualize the finish line, the best possible case, and see what that looks like. Question number 3 is, what action will you take to reach this goal? So you're really thinking about an action plan. You probably already have an idea of that in your head, and you know the action that you need to take to achieve that goal. It doesn't have to be a big long diatribe. It can just be a general idea, but write down some specifics. Question number 4 is, what's your biggest obstacle? What obstacle has that been in the past? And what do you expect your biggest obstacle to be in achieving this goal? Is it going to be the same as in the past? Is it going to be a new obstacle? So try to get a sense of what that obstacle is going to look like. 5th question, you may have already answered this in the last question, but when and where is that obstacle most likely to occur? Now that you've thought about the when and where that might occur, question 6 comes up. What can I do to prevent that obstacle? This is where you come up with an action plan ahead of time when the obstacle happens to tackle that obstacle and jump over that obstacle. Then the last question, number 7, is what specific thing will I do to get back to my goal when this obstacle happens? So this is the get back on track action plan. And because you've thought of that action plan ahead of time, it's easy to implement once it happens and once you get past that obstacle. So if you're a little more inclined towards pessimism, nothing wrong with that, some personalities are, this technique might be a little bit more effective for you. Or even if you're an optimist, try it out. Maybe it'll work.